I've never seen anything as extraordinary as this happen before.
It was sheer panic. It was sheer panic in London, in New York, but all over the world.
A high-stakes thriller in which the German carmaker Porsche took on the financial markets and won, making billions.
At the moment, Porsche definitely looks more like a hedge fund than a car maker.
While some hedge funds lost a fortune.
People there was no color in their faces. They were really white.
This is the most deadly situation, the nightmare scenario for any hedge fund manager. Minute by minute, they're losing more and more money.
And running through this tale of fast cars and even faster money, Porsche's audacious plan to take over its giant rival Volkswagen. Tonight on the Money Programme, how Porsche crept up on Europe's biggest car manufacturer and in the process cost the city billions of pounds. For years, Porsche, the sleek and super-fast sports car, has been the must-have accessory for the successful city trader. But Porsche doesn't just make the ultimate fast car. It's been exposed as a key player in one of the most audacious city stories in years.
Porsche, the maker of the 911 sports car, has accumulated Volkswagen shares over the past 3 years.
We're also waiting on Volkswagen as well. Its shares have been firing and misfiring like an old banger this week.
Porsche has gone from being a city boy's trophy to a city player, involved in a gobsmacking attempt to take over a rival 14 times its size, Volkswagen. It all started in October 2008. Over 2 days, the price of shares in Volkswagen soared. Briefly, it became the most valuable company on Earth, worth £237 billion. The rise defied logic. Every other car maker in the world was struggling in the credit crunch.
You can see hedge funds losing between sort of 10 and 40 billion euro.
But then the truth came out. Porsche had a massive stake in Volkswagen shares and had, in effect, cornered the market.
If this were to have happened in the UK, then I think there is a strong case that this would have been deemed to have been market abuse.
Porsche deny any wrongdoing, but the German regulator is now investigating suspected market abuse. I want to unravel this astonishing financial tale. My first destination, the German city of Stuttgart. Porsche is announcing its profits for the year up to July, before this autumn's events. Porsche's chief executive, Wendling Wiedeking, brings astonishing news. Remember, it's a small car company making very expensive sports cars, things that just don't sell as the world heads towards recession. And yet, today, it's reporting record profits. At Wiedeking's side is his chief financial officer, Holger Harter. Together they have an audacious plan, the takeover of its much bigger rival, Volkswagen. Remember, this is a car company, but it turns out Porsche is announcing record profits from trading on the financial markets.
Eine zweistellige Umsatzrendite erreicht und sind darauf auch stolz. Gehen Sie davon aus, dass diese
The money made from the old-fashioned business of making and selling cars is dwarfed by its share dealing.
Just 1 billion of their profit comes from actually selling cars, but 6.8 billion from making bets on VW share price. But in Germany, there's more kind of, I would say, a more proud view of a southern German car maker making really nice products and being also very clever in their financial strategy.
Other car makers are begging for government bailouts to keep going, but Porsche no longer relies on four wheels to keep it in profit. So what kind of company have these bosses created? I met up with world-renowned expert on the car industry, Garel Rees. He says when Porsche boss Wendelin Wiedeking arrived in the early 1990s, the company was close to collapse.
Porsche was in a very difficult position when Wiedeking came on the scene. They had just had a dreadful period at the end of the 80s and the early 90s. So the recession that hit then in 1991 opened up these tiny cracks into massive fissures in the case of Porsche. And there were real questions whether Porsche could survive.
The new boss slashed production costs and brought in a new range of models. By the early 2000s, he'd taken the company into a golden age.
He really is driven by the numbers. His very, very focused approach on making sure that the bottom line has to be dripping in black meant that, frankly, Porsche entered a period of prosperity, the like of which they, and very rarely, any other car maker had been in.
But despite the profits, Porsche is still tiny, and car technology is incredibly expensive. The company needs hybrid engine technology and modern electronics to flourish. So Porsche decided to use the cash from its profits to attempt something remarkable: a takeover of Volkswagen, a company 14 times its size, with all the high-tech hardware that Porsche could ever need.
When we talk about Volkswagen, we don't just mean Volkswagen. Remember, this is Europe's biggest car maker, and it owns some of the biggest names in European motoring. There's Seat, Skoda, Audi, Lamborghini, Bugatti, and of course, Bentley.
The plan wasn't just ambitious, it was the biggest gamble in Porsche's 80-year history.
It's quite ridiculous. A company that had really never made over 100,000 cars of their own at all, thinking they could take over a company that made over 4 million vehicles. It's like a sparrow knocking out a hippopotamus.
Volkswagen and Porsche have always had a strong historic link. In the 1930s, before he founded his own company, Ferdinand Porsche designed the Volkswagen Beetle, the most important car in Germany's engineering history. His family still own Porsche.
The Porsches look at Volkswagen as almost their inheritance. If anybody is going to take over Volkswagen, it's going to be them. It's going to be Porsche company, the Porsche family.
So Porsche homed in on Volkswagen to ensure its own future and get the company for the family. In 2005, it slipped silently into the dangerous waters of the financial markets and began to hunt down Volkswagen shares. It was a risky business, but Porsche was good. Very good.
Because they've got contracts and they've got people to look after and they can't really just...
The company was growing in wealth and in power without anybody noticing. Arndt Ellinghorst is a car industry analyst, specializing in Volkswagen and Porsche.
Porsche has developed from being a small piranha to becoming a big shark, and that's the painful lesson that all of us in the financial market had to learn over the last couple of years.
But Porsche didn't have enough cash to gobble up Volkswagen outright. So it used financial devices like cash-settled options to gamble on the price of Volkswagen shares. Do it right, and when share prices are rising, it lets you buy shares in the future, but at today's price. Porsche made huge profits, which it then used to buy up even bigger chunks of Volkswagen.
In 2006-2007, they reported roughly 3.5 billion euros in gains from Volkswagen options. In 2007-2008, these were more than 6 billion euros.
When Porsche started making money on Volkswagen shares, did the culture of Porsche start to change away from being a car maker?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, the core of the business is still producing cars, but these cash-settled options that we talk about had a purpose, and the purpose was to increase the stake in Volkswagen at the cheapest and most efficient price, and that's what they obviously did in a very smart way.
By September, Porsche had successfully acquired just over 35% of Volkswagen, an astonishing feat for such a tiny company. While it was buying more and more shares, the rest of the car industry was crumbling.